In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys my process with light metering on film photography, but first I gotta take this photo. Photography for me is kind of this game of being in the right place at the right time. I think that my interests are always subject to change, but right now I spend a lot of time driving around, revisiting the same places, and wanting to catch the light in that 10-minute window that I think is interesting. So often I go out to shoot and I'd be lucky to get one or two photos, and sometimes it's just about going out and checking out a new spot and knowing that it's something I'll come back to later. So my main reason for wanting to shoot in dramatic light comes down to mostly color. The same way that if you shoot a scene at noon or sunset or twilight, the colors are going to be different. The same thing happens depending on if you overexpose, underexpose, or properly expose your film. The simplest way that I can think about this is that color is light. I hear a lot of people talking about overexposing film, and they're not wrong. The highlights of film are more flexible than the shadows, but I think that the best approach is to start slowing down and taking a step back and really envisioning what it is that you want your final image to look like. When I first started shooting film, I was using point and shoots that took a light meter reading for the entire scene, and when I switched to medium format, my Pentax 645 did the exact same thing. So I kept using that, but pretty regularly got back results that I wasn't very happy with. And it wasn't until I switched to the Mamiya 7, which has a spot meter, that I really started understanding how light meters work. The light meter in the Mamiya 7 basically works like a laser pointer. So a lot of my process comes down to getting a reading for the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights, and then figuring out what it is that's gonna work for the scene. The light is still ridiculously harsh here, but like I said, we do a lot of waiting around.
20 minutes later.
All I'm trying to do is get an exposure that's closest to the highlights without completely losing the detail in the shadows. I'm gonna try to stick my phone in here so I can show you guys what the spot meter looks like. The flashing red light at the bottom is what the light meter is suggesting for middle gray. You can see as I move around the center of the frame, the reading changes pretty drastically. Oh no. I really hope this car moves. They just blocked the light on the grass. Hi there. Hi. Is there any chance you would mind backing up your car a tiny bit? I've been waiting for this photo and the light's so beautiful on the grass right now, but the shadow's there.
No problem.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sweet. All right, the light is there. So the road is reading at a 30th of a second, the house is reading at a 60th of a second, and the highlights are reading at a 2/50th of a second. So I'm gonna shoot this at a 1/25th of a second because I know I can still bring up the shadows a little bit and I'm gonna get all of that color in the sky. All right, I think that's it. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna shoot this at a 1/15th of a second, so really, really overexposed. And then I'm also gonna shoot this at a 500th of a second, which is really, really underexposed. Before I wrap up today's video, I just want to put an emphasis on the fact that not everyone needs to switch to a Mamiya 7. The reason I wanted to share my experience of transitioning from the Pentax to the Mamiya was that my Mamiya had different spot meter settings built into the camera. I just didn't know how to use them, and no one had shown me the reason why I would benefit from switching to a spot meter. And if you guys aren't shooting things that are remotely close to what I'm shooting, then absolutely take this information with a grain of salt. I think that the coolest part about YouTube is sharing how I do things, and it's an opportunity to take bits and pieces from other people and learn how they do it, and then you can apply parts of it to your work. I had to give one piece of advice to someone who's looking to take their photos to the next level. It would just be to slow down and start envisioning the way you want your photos to look beyond just composition. I think that all good photos come down to someone being in the right place at the right time, regardless of if you're on the streets of New York City or sitting in your car waiting for the clouds to clear, hoping that the sun will come through. Everything just comes down to someone being in the right place at the right time. Learning camera settings can be extremely important, but I think that the most important thing is just getting out there. It's also worth noting that a huge part of my process is knowing that I'm going to get consistent results from the lab that I work with. So if you guys are interested in sending your film to the place that I send my film to, you can get 10% off your first order at the Fine Lab. So thanks so much for watching today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until next time.